The story kicks off with Lucas Hood, a former robber who just got out of prison after 15 years. Lucas easily swiped a car to meet up with his old friend Job, who's a hacker. After trashing his stuff, Job finally gave Lucas the address of a woman he was looking for. While driving, Lucas got chased by a Ukrainian gangster named Oleg, and it turned into a high-speed chase. Lucas managed to get away by grabbing a motorcycle. After a long journey, Lucas arrived in a small town called Banshee. Over at the Banshee town courthouse, a judge was wrapping up a case involving a local mafia guy named Kai Proctor. The prosecutor, Gordon, and a young mayor named Dan Kendall didn't look too happy with the outcome. The woman Lucas was searching for turned out to be Carrie, who's married to Gordon. They've got a daughter named Diva and a younger son named Max. When Carrie saw Lucas in her backyard, she was shocked, and he vanished again. Lucas stopped at a bar owned by Sugar, a former boxer. Lucas couldn't hide his excitement about being free, and Sugar, who had done 8 years behind bars himself, helped him get a new identity. A new sheriff with the same name, Lucas Hood, was coming to town. 2 thugs tried to extort money from Sugar, but Sheriff Hood didn't back down, even with guns pointed at him. They ended up in a standoff, and a shootout broke out, leaving the sheriff and his henchmen dead. Sugar told Lucas to leave, and he'd handle the bodies. In the evening, Lucas sneaked back to Carrie's house with Job's help. He was amazed when Carrie revealed that their daughter was now 13 years old. There was a long history between them, so long that Carrie, who Lucas knew as Anna, had vanished from his life for 15 years. Lucas asked Carrie to share the $10 million in stolen diamonds, but she said they'd already been given to Rabbit. He went back to the bar to help Sugar bury the 3 bodies. Then, the sheriff's phone rang, and Lucas answered it. It was the mayor on the other end. Since they hadn't met, Lucas pretended to be the sheriff. This meant he'd easily take on the new sheriff's identity in Banshee. To make it perfect, he got Job's help in creating a new identity and hacking the police data system to make him look like Lucas. Sugar not only gave Lucas a place to stay above the bar, but also told him to hide when Kai came looking for his 2 missing henchmen. Sugar kept the fact that they were actually dead. To avoid more trouble, Sugar gave Lucas money to leave town, but Lucas was determined to meet with the young mayor and continue his plan. Job immediately had his guys get a car ready when they saw 2 people they suspected were the police coming to their headquarters. Job tried to attack the gang members when he realized they were after Lucas, but he couldn't do anything. They were Oleg and his friend, henchmen of the Ukrainian mafia boss Rabbit, searching for Lucas. Job made his escape through the back door and blew up his hideout. Lucas, on the other hand, was being taken to the sheriff's office by the mayor. He met his deputies, Deputy Emmett, Brock, and a female deputy named Kelly. During their patrol, they encountered trouble at a furniture factory, where the Moody family was causing chaos due to falling furniture prices and factory bankruptcy. They surrounded Lucas, but he wasn't scared. A fight broke out, and Kai, who introduced himself as a meat businessman, arrived to stop Cole from attacking Lucas. Kai turned out to be Cole's father, but their relationship seemed strained. Lucas briefly stole Diva's wallet, maybe because he suspected she could be his child from his past relationship with Carrie. Kai's right-hand man, Burton, reported that their missing henchmen were last seen at Sugar's bar. When Cole arrived, he apologized for not realizing that the man they had attacked was Kai's father. However, Kai didn't show mercy and beat Cole severely. Meanwhile, Kelly helped Lucas get dressed in his new sheriff uniform on his inauguration day in Banshee. This marked the start of Lucas's journey as a professional thief once again. At a party, Carrie was shocked to see Lucas as the new sheriff. In private, Lucas showed her a safe that she could open, but she refused and left. Suddenly, Cole attacked Lucas from behind and even fired a shot at Kai. Lucas managed to recover and shot Cole dead. On the other hand, Rabbit, the gangster boss from Ukraine, ordered Oleg, who had only suffered a facial injury from the explosion, to hunting for Lucas and Carrie. Lucas and Carrie were haunted by their past as they tried to escape the police. However, their biggest fear was Rabbit, as no one had ever dared to steal from him before. Meanwhile, Kai's henchman named Hansen was in charge of the drug production, which was the mafia boss's real business. At the same time, Diva got an invitation from her boyfriend Reed to visit a house deep in the woods. Little did she know that this house was being used for drug manufacturing under Hansen's supervision. While there, Diva witnessed Hansen teaching a lesson to a man named Arno, and they were instructed to spread invitations to a party at the house. Kai visited the sheriff's office and offered a partnership, hoping Lucas would be their puppet. Despite his criminal past and being a replacement sheriff, Lucas declined their offer. The next day, Carrie entered an empty building and was immediately attacked, but it was part of her training. Sugar advised Lucas to leave his bar to avoid trouble with the Moody family, who were holding a mourning event there. A woman named Rebecca observed Lucas, and Kat Moody, the widow of the late Cole, slapped Lucas for killing her husband. Two intoxicated Moody brothers even pointed guns at Lucas, but he stood his ground. Sugar intervened with his shotgun, forcing them to back down. Instead of arresting them, Lucas let them go. Rebecca gave Lucas a sharp look, and they ended up in a sexual encounter. The scene that's showing Lucas's past when he and Carrie attempted to escape with the stolen diamonds. He decided to surrender himself to ensure Carrie's safety. Meanwhile, a man named Elijah informed the sheriff's office about a party happening in a warehouse deep in the woods, and his daughter turned out to be Rebecca. Before heading to the location, Lucas and his 3 deputies armed themselves. The party was filled with young people indulging in drugs supplied by Hansen. Diva and her friend Reed, who was a DJ, were also at the party. Upon reaching the party, the deputies planned to surround it, but Lucas chose to sneak in and go after the mastermind directly. He first disabled the security. While inside, Lucas targeted Hansen. Suddenly, panic erupted as Reed and several others overdosed on drugs. The police had to shut down the party. Lucas tried to catch Hansen but was blocked by his guards. Emmett arrived just in time to take down Hansen, but Reed sadly didn't make it due to the drugs. Lucas was once again driven by his emotions when Hansen's captured guard insulted Diva. He didn't care about the consequences, even though Brock, his fellow law enforcer, disagreed with his brutal actions. In response to this incident, Kai took drastic measures and cut off Hansen's fingers, feeding them to his dog. It was revealed that Kai had been making $250,000 a week from drug distribution in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C., and Hansen had become a problem because he was selling drugs in their town. To make matters worse, Reed was the son of a senator, which put Kai in a difficult position. Without any mercy, Kai fed Hansen to his dog. Meanwhile, Lucas escorted Diva back home, where Carrie watched from upstairs. Carrie took action to eliminate Rabbit's 2 guards. When the mafia boss returned to his room, he was confronted by Carrie, who had him at gunpoint. She still had the diamonds and offered them to Rabbit, worth tens of millions of dollars, in exchange for him never bothering her again. At first, Rabbit couldn't believe that Lucas had found him within just a week, after he had been searching for 15 years. Rabbit refused the diamonds because what he really wanted was Lucas. He proposed a deal to Carrie. If she handed over Lucas, he would cease pursuing him. Unbeknownst to Rabbit, he had been injected with a sedative, and it was revealed that Rabbit was Carrie's father. At the same time, Kai opened a casino in the town of Banshee, partnering with a Native American businessman named Benjamin and his son, Alex. They invited world boxing champion Sanchez to the grand opening event. After a funeral, Gordon invited Lucas for dinner at his house. During the dinner, Lucas took the opportunity to discuss personal matters with Carrie. He expressed his disappointment and feelings of betrayal, considering he had spent 15 years in prison. Back at the bar, Lucas, who was troubled by his past, found comfort in Rebecca, who happened to be Kai's niece. The following day, a boxing match was held between Sanchez and a Marine to promote Kai's casino. At the same time, Lucas tried to gather information from Kai about the drug pills he had come across. However, the mafia boss denied any knowledge of the substance. After arrogantly defeating his opponent in the match, Sanchez challenged Lucas. Despite the challenge, Lucas paid no attention to his words. A waitress became the target of Sanchez's advances. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Carrie pointed a gun at her and threw her diamonds to Lucas, hoping he would leave her life. Feeling humiliated, Lucas refused the diamonds and chose to stay in town. The waitress that Sanchez had harassed ended up in the hospital because of a severe beating. Lucas and Kelly decided to go to the casino to arrest him, but Kai and Sanchez's manager Dern initially blocked their efforts. Not wanting to arrest Sanchez without a fight, Lucas challenged him to a duel. In the initial fight, Lucas endured several attacks from Sanchez. Despite the injuries, Lucas got back up and continued to fight until Sanchez was defeated, and Sugar brought Lucas back to the bar to recover. Kai was furious with the new sheriff, who proved to be tougher than previous sheriffs. Due to this incident, Kai ordered Burton to collect the owed money from Sanchez's manager Dern. However, when Dern refused to pay, Burton eliminated him right away. Lucas contacted Job when he was trapped in a corridor of a museum building after stealing a painting. Unfortunately, Job postponed his assistance to Lucas because a restaurant patron insulted his appearance. At the same time, Carrie got in touch with Lucas. Despite claiming not to have feelings for him anymore, she provided him with support to keep him calm. Lucas managed to open a door and incapacitated 2 police officers, but had to run when other officers closed in on him. A chase followed, and Lucas found himself trapped in the middle of the road. Fortunately, Carrie arrived just in time to rescue him. Back in Banshee, Sugar picked up Lucas. Carrie explained that she wanted to save him to avoid detection by Rabbit. In the morning, Senator Robert was waiting for Lucas in his office. Because his son had died from a drug overdose, the senator pressured Lucas to capture the mastermind. To investigate the case, Lucas called in Diva for questioning. She revealed that she had seen Arno meeting with Hansen before the party. Carrie later expressed her anger because her daughter had been called in without her knowledge. Lucas and Deputy Emmett then went to Arno's house, located within a community of unemployed thugs, and managed to capture Arno as he tried to escape. As it turned out, Arno discovered Hansen's severed hand, which he found in Kai's butcher shop. Arno even recorded Kai feeding Hansen to his dogs. Lucas confiscated the phone to use it as evidence for Prosecutor Gordon. With this evidence, they could charge Kai with murder. Lucas and Emmett rushed to Kai's house to arrest him. The mafia boss, who was practicing martial arts, didn't resist when Lucas took him into custody. On their way back to the police station, there was a sudden collision. It was the Moody family seeking revenge against Lucas for Cole's death. Kai himself was tied to a tree, and Emmett's fate remained uncertain. They were about to execute them when Lucas fought back, gruesomely slicing off Marcus's ear. Luckily, Emmett arrived just in time to save Lucas. Unwilling to continue the feud, Lucas forgave them and let them go. Back at the office, other deputies and Kai's lawyer were shocked to see their client severely beaten. Lucas was tempted to assault him due to his taunts, but Sugar intervened. Sugar expressed his desire to be involved in whatever Lucas had planned, and Lucas accepted his request. Carrie, impressed by Lucas's forgiveness towards her family, came to see him. Initially, she wanted to meet him, but when she saw Kat was there, she canceled her intention. The mayor visited the police station to see Kai, who was detained in a holding cell. Kendall promised to destroy the mafia, just as he did to his father. Suddenly, Kai choked Kendall until he struggled to breathe. The judge agreed to the defense attorney's request to release Kai from the cell into city custody until the trial was held. Brock was assigned to keep an eye on Arno at a motel since he was a crucial witness to Kai's murder case. Suddenly, the motel wall exploded with explosives, and Arno was abducted by the culprit. A motorcycle gang bearing a skull ring symbol arrived in Banshee. Simultaneously, a motorcyclist followed a box truck entering a cattle farm. This motorcyclist turned out to be Job, who promptly informed Lucas, and Sugar was on standby with them. From this location, they observed suspicious activities involving Kai and his henchmen, including Benjamin and his son Alex. They grew curious about the mafia's business. Gordon introduced Lucas to FBI agent Dean Xavier. It appeared that the FBI and DEA were aware of Kai's drug dealings, but they had never been able to apprehend him. The problem was that they had now lost their witnesses, and the evidence they had was insufficient to convince a judge. While taking a leisurely walk, Carrie was harassed by the motorcycle gang. Sugar attempted to rescue her and managed to take down 2 gang members with a single punch, but they struck Sugar from behind. Kelly, who happened to be there, sensed trouble. One gang member was still threatening Carrie with his gun, and eventually, Kelly shot him dead. Lucas arrived at the scene, checked on Carrie, and Sugar was taken to the hospital with a head injury. Lucas expressed his anger and desire for revenge against the motorcycle gang. However, despite one of their members being killed, the gang had no intention of fleeing and planned to terrorize Banshee. Kelly couldn't express her feelings about killing someone for the first time as sheriff. She channeled her anger by practicing shooting. The motorcycle gang's leader retaliated by stabbing Kelly's car tire, which initiated their harassment of her due to her shooting their member. When Lucas arrived, Kelly and Emmett joined him in searching for the gang's hideout. During a carnival, the gang caused chaos, running over people, and Lucas and Brock struggled to apprehend them. Rebecca, who was manning her food stand, even hurled a knife at one of the gang members. Due to this incident, Banshee residents demanded accountability from the mayor and the sheriff to address the situation. Kai saw an opportunity to gain support from the citizens by offering his henchmen to safeguard the town. Sheriff Lucas assured the town's safety, and the festival continued as planned. Lucas smiled as Rebecca's parents handed over the knife used by their daughter. Meanwhile, Lucas instructed Kelly to stay at his house until she regained control of her emotions. She reluctantly agreed. That night, the motorcycle gang unexpectedly attacked her home. Kelly tried to chase them, but they ended up setting her house on fire. Lucas arrived quickly after getting reports of the incident. Kelly was even more devastated because her home held many memories. Lucas met with Kai, who had already captured one of the gang members to reveal the hiding place of his companions. Without mercy, Lucas took action once again, incapacitating all the gang members with his own hands. In the morning, Job was assigned to transport them to Cleveland, a city that had filed charges against the gang for their unruly actions. Kelly was surprised to receive a ring belonging to one of the gang members. Gordon began to suspect something when he saw his wife sitting with Lucas. He felt that Carrie was hiding something from him. Lucas's past was once again revealed. While in prison, Rabbit came to force Lucas to reveal Carrie's whereabouts, but Lucas claimed not to know. With his authority, Rabbit assigned several inmates, including his leader, the albino, to beat Lucas. Every day in that prison was filled with torture for Lucas. A former inmate named Wicks arrived in Banshee. He was shocked to see Lucas in a sheriff's uniform. Benjamin and Kai were planning to build a luxurious hotel in the town, but they faced resistance from a pastor who refused to sell his land. When Kai met him, Arthur refused to sell his house with its sacred well, even though the mafia offered double the price. When Lucas got to his office, he found Wicks locked up in a cell. It turned out that when Lucas had treatment at the prison clinic, only Wicks was willing to lend a hand. Wicks mentioned that Lucas had to give in to Albano's threats if he wanted to stay alive. That's why Wicks knew Lucas so well. If Lucas spoke up, his real identity would be exposed. Coincidentally, Carrie ended up at the same restaurant and noticed Lucas with this man. Seeing how close they were, Carrie's friends started suspecting a special relationship between Carrie and Lucas. Since the man was jobless, Lucas arranged for Wicks to stay in a hotel. While in jail, Wicks told Lucas about a guy named Billy, who was Albano's favorite. With his arm still in a cast, Lucas boldly went to meet Albano to make a deal, but Albano remained loyal to Rabbit. Lucas could have become Albano's favorite, just like Billy, to satisfy his desires. Unexpectedly, Lucas used a sharp object hidden under his cast to stab Billy in the neck. As a result, Lucas got thrown into solitary confinement for the next 90 days. Finally, Lucas gave Wicks $2,500 to stay quiet and leave town. Arthur was shocked when he saw explicit photos of his wife with Kai from before they got married. The pastor had no other option but to sell his land because Kai threatened to spread those photos and videos. Max had to go to the hospital because his asthma got worse. During his 90 days in solitary confinement, Lucas spent each day working on his physical strength. Instead of returning home, Wicks wasted all the money Lucas gave him in a single night at the gambling table. Because of his unruly behavior, he ended up back in the cell. The casino owner, Alex, was really angry about it. To protect his secret, Lucas had no choice but to get him released again. Wicks then asked Lucas for a new deal. He was ready to work and get paid. On the day Lucas got out of solitary confinement, Wicks handed him a weapon. However, Albino's henchmen took it away from him. Lucas had to kneel in front of them, facing the danger of getting his throat cut with a straight razor. That's when Lucas acted like he was cooperating, but swiftly turned the razor to slash Albino's throat. And not just that, he fought back until he snapped Albino's neck with a barbell. After that, no inmate dared to mess with him. Carrie got in touch with her father to tell him she was ready to hand Lucas over to him. Key's brother visited the slaughterhouse for the first time in decades because they had different beliefs. Elijah asked Kai to bring back Rebecca, thinking his daughter would listen to him. Lucas, along with Job and Sugar, had a plan to sneak into Kai's secret factory. Out of the blue, Carrie called Lucas to meet her at a fence. When they were about to start a stolen car, Carrie asked Lucas to handle it, but then she surprised him by injecting a tranquilizer. It turned out that Carrie had set a trap for Lucas to deliver him to Rabbit. While Emmett was shopping at a convenience store, two robbers suddenly appeared. These criminals shamelessly shot the cashier dead. Emmett was ready to accept the worst and prayed to be shot too, but the culprits made a run for it. Emmett immediately started chasing after them, with his colleagues arriving after getting a call for help on the radio. The culprits sought refuge in the sports building of Banshee High School. Emmett got shot in the hand during the pursuit. The culprits went inside the building, taking the mayor's wife, who was teaching high school students, as a hostage. Surprisingly, Diva and several other students were also taken hostage. Meanwhile, Carrie left a diamond with Lucas, who was handcuffed in a hotel room to be handed over to Rabbit. 3 deputy sheriffs from Banshee surrounded the building, waiting for backup. They had trouble reaching Lucas and were too scared to go inside. A student secretly recorded the robbers' faces and live-streamed it on social media. News of the hostage situation quickly spread, and TV news vans began showing up at the scene. Carrie, unaware that her daughter was in danger, ignored her husband's phone calls. The mayor's wife, Jenny, had to undress while calling the police to request a getaway car. Rabbit and his henchmen were on their way, and the mafia boss was eager to eliminate Lucas. Lucas struggled to free himself from the handcuffs but couldn't manage it. His emotions ran high when he saw Diva among the hostages held by the robbers. After Carrie answered her husband's call, she was shocked to hear that Diva was in danger. Lucas tried to free himself just as Rabbit was about to arrive at the hotel room. Just as he managed to release one of his hands, the hotel room door suddenly kicked open. It was Job who found him first before Rabbit could get there. The gangster boss was furious because, once again, he failed to capture Lucas. The mayor's wife narrowly avoided being harassed by the robbers. Brock said his car was ready for them, but some students resisted. Diva and her friend tried to break free from the robbers. Just then, Lucas showed up at the scene. Carrie was amazed at how he managed to escape. Without hesitation, Lucas bravely entered the building to ensure Diva and the other hostages' safety. He asked the robbers to surrender, and the SWAT team arrived. Eventually, Lucas was able to take down one of the robbers, leaving one more who was holding Diva hostage. When Diva ducked down, Lucas shot the captor, ending the threat. The situation was finally under control. Carrie felt relieved that her daughter was safe, and the person who saved her life was the same person she had tried to hand over to her father. When Rabbit saw the news broadcast, he was shocked to see that Lucas, whom he had been chasing, was now the sheriff of Banshee. In a bar, Kai came to thank Lucas for his heroic actions. Kai was relieved because the missing key witness had set him free again. Back at home, Carrie waited for Lucas. She apologized and regretted her actions. She even wished Lucas would shoot her for the foolish things she had done to him. But his deep love stopped him from doing so. Meanwhile, Oleg was sent by Rabbit to Banshee to continue hunting down Lucas. One morning, Rebecca got kicked out of her family for breaking their religious rules. Lucas asked Carrie not to leave again, but she couldn't because she had a husband and kids who needed her. At the same time, Gordon, unable to bear the secrets his wife was hiding, searched their room for evidence about Carrie's true past. Eventually, Carrie confessed that Diva was Lucas's daughter. Back when Gordon had just finished military training, he accepted Carrie for who she was and welcomed Diva as his own child after she said her biological father had passed away. As Carrie was about to leave, she was surprised to see Oleg, who forced her into a car trunk. But Lucas managed to stop him. After getting kicked out, Rebecca stayed at her uncle's place. Kai had a similar fate. He got expelled by his father going astray. Rebecca was thrilled with her uncle's fancy house and a swimming pool. Even though they caught Oleg, Carrie, and Lucas grew more worried because Rabbit was getting closer. Carrie couldn't escape like she used to because she now had a family. Suddenly, Rebecca came to Lucas's house. Not wanting to add to their problems, Lucas planned to take Rebecca away, while Carrie kept an eye on Oleg. However, Carrie found out that Oleg actually loved her, but he chose to remain loyal to Rabbit. Surprisingly, Oleg managed to free himself from his restraints. A heated fight erupted between Carrie and Oleg as they exchanged blows, trying to outdo each other. Lucas was unaware of this as he was focused on Rebecca. After a long absence, Kai returned to his family. The mafia boss expressed his disappointment because Rebecca had been treated poorly. Despite both of them being badly beaten, Carrie and Oleg remained resilient. Lucas actually wanted to go home, but an FBI agent stopped him to ask about his investigation into Kai. Then, another woman named Nola appeared. She was Benjamin's daughter and Alex's sister, but she didn't share her father's beliefs. In fact, Nola hoped her father would pass away soon. Gordon searched the room thoroughly and found an old necklace that belonged to his wife, containing a photo inside. The battle between Oleg and Carrie was still ongoing, even though they were both weakened. Carrie got stabbed in the stomach and was about to be taken away, but she fought back by stabbing Oleg in the back. The past between Lucas, Carrie, and Oleg was revealed, where they had made a promise to protect each other. Meanwhile, Kai warned Rebecca to stay away from the sheriff. In a badly hurt state, Carrie sensed her father's presence. Surprisingly, Oleg was still alive, and that's when Carrie stabbed him in the neck, ending his life. When Lucas arrived home, he was shocked to find Carrie covered in blood. They rushed her to the hospital right away. Carrie got immediate medical treatment for her serious injuries. Shortly after, Gordon showed up at the hospital. He vented his anger at Lucas, thinking Lucas was somehow connected to all the suffering his wife had endured. Job and Sugar had already buried Oleg's body, and now Lucas had no choice but to deal with Rabbit. The leader of the Ukrainian gang gathered his men to hunt down Lucas and avenge Oleg's death. Once she woke up, Carrie didn't dwell on her still severe injuries. She urged her husband to go home, pick up their 2 children, and leave the town of Banshee. Gordon came back home, and Carrie rushed off to pick up Max from school. Meanwhile, Lucas was getting his weapons ready. When she got to the school, Carrie was surprised to find her father waiting behind the door. After understanding the situation, Carrie got back on her feet to look for Max, but it turned out that Rabbit had already taken her youngest son away. Carrie finally made it to the police station. Lucas asked her to stay calm. However, when Gordon arrived, Lucas was asked to leave. Carrie admitted to Gordon that her own father, whom she had claimed was dead, had kidnapped their child. On the other hand, FBI agents showed up to take control of the case. The sheriff and all his deputies now answered to them. The scene shifted to the hotel construction project led by Alex and Nola. There was a dispute with Kai, who claimed to be part of the mega project as part of his deal with Benjamin. To show his authority, Kai blew a whistle, and instantly, all the project workers stopped working. Kai had the power to harm Alex, but he had a promise to keep to Benjamin. Max was brought to a warehouse that served as Rabbit's base, and he needed his nebulizer because of his asthma. Meanwhile, Lucas approached Kai for assistance, but the Banshee mafia boss was already upset with the sheriff's actions concerning Rebecca. They got into a fight until they were both battered. Since they were equally stubborn, they stopped only when they ran out of energy. Eventually, Kai agreed to help Lucas in his battle against the ruthless gang that was after him, but the condition was that Lucas could no longer have a relationship with Rebecca. At the same time, Gordon saw Carrie taking a hidden weapon from the backyard. Carrie couldn't explain everything yet, but she needed to ensure Max's safety. When they entered the house, Rabbit was already there. Rabbit now knew that Diva was Lucas's child because she was exactly 15 years old. When Gordon arrived, he intended to threaten Rabbit, but Carrie stopped him because Max's life was at stake. Diva was quite surprised to learn that her biological father was not Gordon. Rabbit had only come to take Max's nebulizer. He refused to release Max, even though Carrie wanted to trade him for her own life. Carrie promised to take Rabbit's life with her own hands. On the other hand, Alex used Kai's former henchman named Jeffrey, who owed money to his casino, to carry out his plan against Kai. Meanwhile, Lucas got a shock when Rabbit suddenly appeared on the top floor of his office building. The Ukrainian gangster boss seemed to just want one last look at Lucas's face, but it made Lucas realize he was in danger. Lucas found himself under attack by Rabbit's team of assassins, with bullets flying everywhere. He had to take cover behind a car. In a surprising turn of events, Kai and his henchmen showed up to rescue him. And now Lucas owed a favor to the Banshee Mafia. At the same time, Rabbit was left surprised when he received a report that all his henchmen had been wiped out. In the morning, Lucas's own henchmen and FBI agents arrived at his office. Due to Xavier threatening to investigate him for the attack, Lucas promptly handed over his sheriff's badge to Brock. Meanwhile, Job and Sugar were trying to locate Rabbit's hiding place, which he admitted was not easy. Out of the blue, Carrie arrived to help the team find her son. While Lucas decided to turn himself in to get Max back, Kai suddenly came under attack from Jeffrey, but Burton appeared to save his boss. Before he passed away, Jeffrey confessed that he had been sent by Alex. Seeing the situation, Rebecca immediately came to her uncle's aid. Meanwhile, Nola fired a shot at a foreign car that entered her yard, and it turned out the culprits had sent Jeffrey's severed head as a warning to Alex. Lucas then surrendered himself to Rabbit, in exchange for Max being brought back home. Gordon shared this good news with Carrie. However, she realized that Lucas had sacrificed himself for their son's safety. While Job and Sugar tracked Lucas's phone and set out to rescue him. Despite her husband's objections, Carrie insisted on joining them. While in prison, Lucas attacked a female rehabilitation officer who had pretended to promise him parole, but was actually working with Rabbit to monitor him. Now, Lucas had to face falling into Rabbit's hands, all because he had dared to steal Rabbit's diamonds. Now Rabbit's henchmen brutally beat Lucas. During their journey, Carrie and her team were stopped by Brock. At the same time, Lucas's head was wrapped in plastic, making it hard for him to breathe. Rabbit held a deep grudge because Lucas had taken away his only child. Finally, Brock, Kelly, and Emmett decided to help Carrie save Lucas. Upon reaching the location, two of Rabbit's henchmen guarding the gate were swiftly taken out. The battle began, and one by one, members of the Ukrainian gang were defeated by Carrie and her team. A fierce firefight erupted, and Brock got shot. The team managed to regain control when the enemy failed to fire a rocket launcher at them. Rabbit himself couldn't do anything after his henchmen were killed. True to her word, Carrie was ready to kill her own father. 2 bullets were lodged in the mafia boss's body, and finally, Lucas survived. Medical personnel arrived at the scene. Strangely, Xavier didn't find Rabbit's body. There were bloodstains leading to a tunnel. Carrie got a brief reunion with her children, although it was short-lived because Gordon chose to take them away. On the other hand, animal hunters discovered a buried body in the woods. The Banshee mayor was casually sitting on top of the under-construction hotel. Unexpectedly, Kai had planted explosives there. Rebecca was instructed to press her phone, and an explosion demolished the building. Lucas was getting better thanks to Kelly's diligent care. He seemed concerned because they still hadn't found Rabbit's body. The question was whether Rabbit was still alive. After getting a report, the FBI uncovered a human skeleton, and by the hole in the hand, they realized it was the original Sheriff Lucas. Lucas's son, Jason Hood, was stunned when he saw a news report mentioning his father, and that's how the story leads into Season 2. Moral lesson from the story: when facing mafia bosses, rogue sheriffs, and motorcycle gangs, always remember to keep your asthma inhaler handy, because you never know when it might save the day.